revising their previous idea that the universe is 13.7 billion years old. But wait a minute, it's not immune from revision. So if something is not immune from revision, then it's not necessarily true. And if it's not necessarily true, how do you use it to falsify what the Bible says?
That's right. That's right. Hey, don't. What do you like to say?
How's it going, man? I'm just listening in for now.
Are you an atheist?
I'm a believer.
Okay, great.
All right. Do you have any questions?
What are your thoughts on the Trinity, Darth?
I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I believe in the Trinity.
Have you engaged in a lot of debates with Unitarians?
I would say a good amount. I wouldn't say a lot.
Yeah, the last few weeks I've been kind of looking at the Trinity and trying to, because I've been watching debates between both sides, and there's things about the Trinity that don't make logical sense to me. Although I can't get around the fact of Jesus being God, so I'm just kind of in a.
What is the what's the logical inconsistency?
Well, because we say that God is one, right? And then we go, well, it's one God, but three persons, and then we simultaneously try to say that God is not composite of those three persons.
Who says that?
Well, Trinitarians have been discussing this with people say, well, no, God's not made up of parts. He's one God.
Does a cube have parts?
No.
Okay, does a cube have distinctions?
Yeah, like individual sides and corners.
Right. And so are not the persons distinctions within the unity of the Godhead?
Yeah, so would we then say that God expresses himself in three different ways?
No. God is a unified being who within the unity subsists as a threefold distinctions that are inseparable as one being of three seats of intellect that we call the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And that those three persons take different roles in creation.
So would you say that those three persons then have their own rationality or share the same thoughts and rationality?
They are distinct seats of intellect, but they are utterly unified in all of their mental state. Okay? In other words, they're all omniscient, so they all share, they're in complete agreement as to their exhaustive understanding of themselves and the world.
That's interesting. So because they all share omniscience, it would be impossible for them to come to different conclusions.
That's correct.
That's interesting.
So when you say something is illogical, okay, is correct logic correct thinking about the world?
I'd say so.
Okay. Does correct thinking is the world a creation and a revelation of God?
Yeah.
So what in the world that God created is incompatible with himself?
Say that again.
If logic is correct thinking about the world, what is it that's in the world that's incompatible with God?
I don't know.
Well, then you can't say God is illogical.
I don't think that I said God is illogical.
Yes, you did. You said the Trinity is illogical. What in the Trinity is illogical? What in the world is inconsistent or incompatible with God being an exemplification of unity and diversity? So let me ask you this question. Could the Trinity be expressed that God represents unity and diversity? Would you agree with that expression?
Yeah.
Okay, is expressing God as being unified and diverse. Is that illogical?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Well, that's the Trinity is an expression of unity and diversity, so it's not illogical.
So, is there an example that we can look at in, let's say, creation that would reflect the same nature of something that's unified and diverse?
Yeah, everything that God has created represents unity and diversity. We have various scales of unity and diversity in the world. We have unity, which are identity states, from the smallest scale all up to the grandest scale, which is just the heavens and the earth. Sometimes people call that the universe or the world. Okay. So when we talk about the world, we're talking about something that represents unity, either concrete or abstract unity. So we have unity and diversity in the world. You cannot speak about the world unless you're invoking the aspects of unity and diversity.
Wouldn't the things that we point to in the world that say, well, okay, this is unified, like, let's take me, right? I'm a person, but I'm made up of a bunch of diverse parts, right? Like concrete states.
Yeah.
But all of those together make up the unity that is me.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that we don't say that God is made up of individual concrete states, do we?
No, what we're saying is God is a unified entity, can either be reducible or irreducible. Okay? So a molecule is a unified state, but it's reducible. An electron in scientific modeling is not reducible. So a unified state can both be reducible or irreducible. It can be compound or non-compound.
Would you say that an electron is a unified state?
Yes. Anything that is discrete from something else is a unified state.
So an electron is a unified state.
Yes.
That is irreducible.
We conjecture that it's irreducible.
But an electron isn't made up of parts, right? As far as we know.
Being unified doesn't depend upon being irreducible. Unification will either be concrete or abstract. In the case of concrete unity, okay, it means that it's something that has properties and attributes that are real and that are discrete and distinguishable from something else, typically.
Interesting.
Okay, so a unity is also an identity state. Okay, some identity states can be reducible, okay, or they're compound. But a state of unity doesn't have to be reducible. It can or cannot be reducible. So unity and identity states are pretty much kind of the same kind of thing that we're talking about. Okay, that it possesses a state of identity and is also discrete from whatever is not itself. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's nothing illogical about the Trinity, although people have stupidly tried to foist stupid arguments like the transitivity of identity to attack the Trinity, but that's just pure sophism.
Interesting. Yeah, because there was something you've explained it well to me.
Listen, the denial of the self-revealing triune God. Okay, when God reveals himself as the triune God, this is the solution to the perennial unsolved problem in metaphysics called the one and the many problem. Which is more ultimate, the unity or manyness? Okay, this cannot be solved without God revealing himself that he is the exemplification of unity and diversity, and from within the being of God, where he's both unified and diverse in terms of discrete seeds of intellect, he then creates a world that reflects unity and diversity, and as a result of unity and diversity, we have coherence and intelligibility. So when people talk about God violates logic, they're kind of reifying logic as though it were some type of natured entity or dimension or realm. Logic is an abstraction of correct thinking about the world. But the world is the product of the one and the many, God. So God cannot actually be illogical. The God of the Bible, that is.
Would you say that, like, us as persons, so we're made up of body, soul, and spirit, right? Would you say that that is a reflection a reflection of what the Trinity is?
Well, you're talking about a trichotomous versus a dichotomous view of the immaterial aspect of man, and there's an ongoing disagreement among Christians over that, and it really doesn't matter. What we do reflect in God is that we are personal beings. We are agents. God himself is a personal being. He is a relational being. So when he made man in his image, it means that we are personal and we're relational. Okay?
Interesting.
So the Trinity is not illogical.
Well, there is one aspect that I couldn't get around, which was how if the Unitarians' view was right, how could God be love if he is not in relationship? That was the main thing that I couldn't get around. Is like,
yeah, there's a new book out called The Relational Trinity, which is an analysis and a refutation of the Islamic God. It's a brand new book. It came out in November. If you look that up, you can look that up on Amazon. If you don't want to get the book, you can get her doctoral dissertation, which is basically the same content, and you can get it free on the internet. The name of the book is The Relational Trinity. She shows that in order for God to have all great making properties, one of those is going to be that he's going to have to possess love before creation. But to possess love means to actualize it.
yeah.
Unitarian God cannot actualize love, nor can that God actualize relationality as a personal being before creation. So a Unitarian concept of God, okay, destroys the notion that God is perfect.
Yeah, that was the one thing I couldn't get around.
Yeah, so you might want to check out the book with The Relational Trinity.
Okay.
She's got a name from another country, and I can't remember how to pronounce it, but it's called The Relational Trinity. But like I said, you can get it online for free. Just look up her name and Google her doctoral dissertation.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks for coming. Chef, what would you like to say?
Yeah, greetings, everyone. So, I would want to probably investigate the man aspect of Christ.
I didn't understand your last statement.
Yeah, I mean, we Christians believe that Christ is fully man and fully God. Do you hold to that view?
Yes.
Okay. So, when we say man, what makes a man? What are the compositions? Is it a spirit and a body?
Let's see. He's got 10 fingers, elbows, feet, a head.
Okay, so you believe that a man doesn't necessarily have to have a spirit or a soul?
A human has an immaterial as well as a material aspect to them.
Okay, so every man on the face of the planet has a spirit in him.
Yeah, every human being has an immaterial aspect to them. Yeah. By the way, what are you?
Sorry?
What are you?
I'm a Christian, but I'm finding it difficult to wrap my hands around the Trinity idea.
Well, I would let you trouble. Okay, why would you expect not to have difficulty with it?
Yeah, and I can see you nearly took our brother. The guy was here.
Are you a Trinitarian?
No, I'm not.
Are you a Unitarian?
I don't even know what that term means.
I need RTA, please, to help 101 up the ramp. She's already started her way.
Please fix your mic. Okay, so Chef, do you believe that there is one creator who subsists within the unity of his being of having three seats of intellect that we call the Father, the Son, and the Spirit?
No, I don't believe that.
Okay, is God composed of one seat of intellect?
Well, I don't. What do you mean when you say one seat?
God possesses an intellect, a mind.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I can say so.
Okay, so does God have only one seat of intellect, or is there more than one seat of intellect within the unity of God?
Well, the one seed aspect is what I'm confused. Just like a human being has.
Do you accept that God is one seat of intellect within the unity of his being, or there's more than one discrete state of intellect within the unity of his being?
I wish I understand that.
Okay, in the Trinity, there are three discrete seats of intellect. Each seat of intellect, the Father, the Son, are distinguished or discrete from each other, but they are concretely unified as one being. You do not accept that. So you believe that God is a unified being who only consists or subsists as a single seat of intellect, correct?
I don't think God consists of anything. I think he.
Okay, sir, listen to me. Does God possess that which we would refer to as a mind?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so that's a seat of intellect. Are there two discrete seats of intellect within the unity of God, or just one?
Okay, God has a mind. He doesn't have like.
Is it one or more than one within the unity of God?
He has one and nothing more than that.
Okay, so you are a Unitarian.
Okay, that's fine. So Unitarian means someone who believes God has just one mind and that's it. Okay,
that
I'm
within the unity and being of God, he only subsists as one discrete seat of intellect.
Well, what do you mean when you say the unity being of God?
Because whenever we speak of an identity state, it's a unified state, discrete from anything else.
Okay. I get it now. So you simply means the indivisible.
Listen to me carefully. Unity does not mean an absolute one there, okay? It means that it's unified in that it has an identity state that is discrete from other identity states or unified states.
Yeah, so that's why for that side, I think you were making sense over there. That's why I didn't want to go there. I just want to stick with the man aspect of Christ because that's where I have a problem.
Okay, well, so either you accept the testimony of the scriptures as being inspired of God and by God, revealing who and what he is like, or you don't. The Bible makes it very clear in the New Testament that there is one God, one being, but that the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, each of which are discrete states of intellect, are qualitatively God, but they are unified as one being. Okay? So you're either going to accept what the New Testament teaches or not. Do you accept or reject that?
I'm asking a slightly different question.
Have a nice day. And we're done. So here we have a form of passive-aggressive dodging and deflecting. So
Yeah, and I was going to say, if he's not a Trinitarian, he's not a Christian.
yeah. No, but the point is, people will be rude and obnoxious in their dodging and deflecting, but sometimes we get people like him who are doing it, and they're very cordially dodging and deflecting, and at a certain point, there's only so much I'm going to take of that.
Yeah. And it seems as though he doesn't believe Jesus Christ is God or something. It seems like...
Yeah, so you'll notice that he wasn't blatantly dodging. He was just doing it in a passive-aggressive way. He wasn't outright lying, so I remained very composed and didn't get indignant with him because he was attempting to present himself respectfully, although he was dodging and deflecting. But at a certain point, I'm just like, okay, I'm done with you. You know, we're gonna stop playing this little game. Yeah. Maybe you should listen to the recording of this and realize how you just persisted in dodging and deflecting.
Okay?
Yeah, and again, he denies historical Christian doctrine. He's not a Christian. That's my argument for all of those people who say they're not Trinitarian. You're going to deny historic Christian doctrine that's been believed throughout the centuries? Everybody got it wrong, and you somehow got it right now? My goodness, the audacity.
Well, the point is this: what God has revealed to us in the New Testament, it reveals now that God is Trinitarian, and that from that we can discern that in order for God to be perfect, God is going to have all great-making properties, including love, okay, and included that He is personal rather than impersonal. But to be personal includes the notion of relationality. But a God who is personal but cannot actualize relationality would be a God that has a deficit. So this is why Unitarian conceptions of God, including Islamic conceptions of God, Muhammad did not understand this level of metaphysics and philosophy, nor is this mental gymnastics on my part. If God is perfect, He's going to have all great-making properties. In the Islamic view, Allah is perfect. But if Allah is perfect, He cannot have any character qualities that are in deficit. Well, He cannot be a loving God before creation. He would, in order for Him to possess love or to actualize love, it would be contingent upon Him creating. Okay? Number two, if Allah is a personal being, is He a maximally personal being? Because to be a maximally personal being means that you have the capacity to actualize relationality, right? So that's why God said of Adam, it is not good that man should be alone. Why? Because God made Adam in His image. To be made in His image is to be personal and relational, okay? So if you're a relational being, but you don't have the opportunity to actualize that relationality with another person, then you are in a deficit situation. You're in a not good state. So therefore, according to that view, Allah is in a not good state because He is alone. Okay? He cannot either internally or externally relate until He creates. So Allah's love and relationality as an aspect of His being personal will be contingent upon creation, whereas the God of the Bible, His love and His relationality is not contingent upon creation.
That's right.
This is a devastating refutation of those that reject the Trinity.
But they still persist.
Well, that's because human beings, rather than accept what God clearly and plainly reveals, would rather opt for whatever figment of their imagination that they would like to be true. This is the predicament of the human race. Because if we disregard, notice in 2 Thessalonians, so this is why I love the Bible, because I'm 63 now. I'm learning so much even to this day about the richness and the application. So 2 Thessalonians isn't just referring to what's going to happen to the end times. It actually has applications to the entire spectrum of redemptive history. So it says, God will send a damning delusion to them who believe a lie, who receive not a love of the truth. Now, this passage is specifically talking about the Antichrist. Now, for transparency purposes, I'm a premillennialist, a pre-tribulationist. I believe there'll be a little Antichrist. There's some Christians who disagree on eschatology, but that's another story.
I'm actually, you and I have the same position on that.
Yeah, I am. And by the way, I have a vast collection of electronic resources on premillennialism, dispensationalism, or whatever. I don't know if they're. I gave you my cloud drive.
Yeah, I was just about to say I have that stuff too, and it was a Christmas gift from a close friend.
Okay, so yeah, it's a great Christmas gift. Although there weren't any candy cans in there, I do have to update it so that it's more organized. And when I do, I'll let you know. But there's and if you want, I can I could just upload the eschatology folder so that it's more complete than what it was. And I have probably one of the greatest collections of ranges of book from simple to complex dealing with the field of eschatology. Although what I don't collect are like pro-preterist or pro-millennial books and things like that. I'm just, but I got a great resource on that. But getting back to 2 Thessalonians, it says, God will send a damning delusion to them who believe a lie, who receive not a love of the truth. So in order to understand it better, you have to understand it in the reverse. So what happens first? They receive not a love of the truth. What is not receiving a love of the truth? It is the disregard and rejection of what God has revealed either in creation or through the prophets, culminating in Jesus Christ and the Bible. When we disregard what God has revealed in creation and through the prophets, then we will succumb to what the Bible calls the lie. The lie is any alternate explanation for the world as a whole that does not acknowledge and accept that God has revealed himself in creation through the prophets, ultimately in Jesus Christ. So the damning delusion is going to be that the Antichrist comes in based upon the world is going to be prepared psychologically and mentally to accept the Antichrist, in part because the particular version of the lie that is prevalent in the world is evolution. That evolution is God is not your creator, but that evolution is your creator, that out of chaos or disorder, pockets of order will emerge, i.e. evolution. So the very evolution mentality is going to be the mental foundation which prepares the world to accept, in part, the demonic deception of the Antichrist. Okay? But that also applies that the lie is any alternative explanation other than the creator-creature distinction. So this is why people are just so deceived, because they're operating under the umbrella of the lie, that the world is to be explained and understood without reference to the necessity of the mind, the purpose, and the plan of God. So right now, I can see light, reflecting off of objects.
Yeah.
Well, that's within the context of God creating and sustaining photons in motion, right? Remove God from the equation, and you're not going to be able to explain how there are classes and categories of things that are real other than you believe it. Right? Hebrews 1, he upholds all things by the power of his will. Colossians chapter 1. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God. Okay? Deny that context and you will succumb to deception. No, Michael, it's not God of the Gaps. If you'd like to come up, since you've decided to give us, 7 laughing and crying, why don't you come up here and you can explain to me how I'm invoking God of the Gaps. Let's see if Michael J. Smith has the balls to come up here and say that I'm guilty of advancing God of the Gaps. Come on up, Michael. Come on up, Michael. You see, the God of the Gaps accusation is a stupid cliche on the part of atheists, which goes like, oh, well, there are things we understand in the world, but there are things that we don't understand, therefore God. Christians do not talk that way. So the accusation that we're guilty of God of the Gaps arguing is a straw man. It is an utter caricature, okay, of the Christian position. Christians do not actually argue for God of the Gaps. They're accused of promoting a God of the Gaps argument, but that's not our position. Oh, look at that. He wants to accuse us of God of the Gaps, yet he doesn't have the testicular fortitude to come up and defend his accusation. Another drive-by atheist. Another drive-by heckler. You see what happens when the Christian worldview can be robustly defended, they're afraid to come up. Where are the atheist challengers? I'm not on my stream. I'll even be glad to relinquish moderation and allow Adrian to ruthlessly mod me and any opposer. Okay, so Michael, so God of the Gaps is that there are certain things that we understand.
Nah, fuck you, faggot.
Okay, goodbye.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fucking faggot.
The mask comes off. The mask comes off. He was so mad that he was embarrassed that he had to sit there and curse me out. You know, it just gets better and better. And by the way, it's going to get really better when TikTok is sold in 2 to 3 weeks. Then we're not going to have all the censorship, and yours truly, Darth Dawkins, is going to be able to even be more frank.
Yeah, I hope that when it's sold, there's no censorship at all, so that I can talk how I want to talk too.
Oh gosh, are we going to have a ball when that happens? We're going to have a good old time. Welcome 1, 2, 3. What would you like to say?
Hello. I was the guy, I think it was yesterday, that had a low charge on his battery. We started talking about how God revealed himself and stuff.
Yeah.
Would you like to continue that conversation?
Yeah, where did I leave off?
I left off by asking you, by what means does God reveal himself?
God reveals himself through everything in the world, being emblematic and indicative of ultimate design and intentionality, and here's how it works, okay? So first we're going to start off with a dichotomy. Either it is the case that the world is emblematic of ultimate design and intentionality or not. That compound statement cannot be denied because it's an expression of the law of excluded middle. Do you accept that before I move on?
Yes, I do.
Okay, number 2, the world can be construed as a product of ultimate design and intentionality. Do you accept that or do you deny that?
I think it can.
Okay, so to construe that the world is emblematic of and indicative of ultimate design and intentionality in and of itself doesn't get you that it is. But in a world that is the product of ultimate intentionality and design by God's purpose to reveal himself, then it could be construed as ultimate design and intentionality. And when the world is therefore indicative of ultimate design, then when the world is accepted that therefore the mind, the purpose, and the plan of God is the single, identifiable, defensible, causal first principle that secures the unity and diversity in the world, resulting in coherence and intelligibility. So it's kind of a spiral type of reasoning. It's not circular, it's spiral. Okay? One, they both depend upon each other. Okay? When that is rejected, you're going to enter into a performative contradiction. That is, that the world is not emblematic and revelational of God. If you stake out that position, you instantly enter into a performative contradiction in that you will not be able to rationally operate under the premise that you're in a God-independent world. Because in a world that is not an atmosphere of revelation of God to us, where God would not reveal himself, then nothing could be known about God, including his non-existence. So to reject that the world is emblematic of ultimate design and intentionality is to result in a catastrophic incoherency.
All right, I don't disagree with any of the things that you just said. The extension of the argument, or the next question, not argument, that I would bring up is what in the idea of intentionality and design that we find, inherent in all of creation proves the existence of the Christian God. Because the last time we were speaking, we were on a guy called, I think, P. Mars.
Yes. So when we look at the propositional content of the Bible, which represents for itself to be the revelation of the Christian God, the putative revelation of God within there, God reveals that he has a property and character set that is perfect. In that, the triune God's attribute set is exclusive and indispensable. His property set is exclusive in that no other worldview can have it, because if it did, it would be the Christian God. And number two, the God's attribute set is indispensable for grounding and establishing all truth, reason, and intelligibility, and a coherent discussion of actuality that stems from the triune God. Reject that, and you will be implicitly making a worldview counterclaim. But you see, when you reject the revelation of God, okay, for the Christian God, right, then you're not going to have background information as to how anything is intelligible, or what the nature of the world is, or what God's plan is. So is oxygen and water...
I'm not going to lie.
Is oxygen and water indispensable for remaining alive?
I believe so. I'm not a biologist, but I
And a perfect God is exclusive and indispensable for truth, reason, and intelligibility. And if somebody goes, what's the argument for that, or doesn't accept that, they're immediately making a veiled or implied counterclaim. If you don't accept if you don't accept that a perfect God who does reveal himself in creation and through the prophets and Jesus Christ, then you're immediately making a counterclaim. We say that the putative revelation itself is self-attesting, it's self-authenticating. It requires no further extrinsic defense other than what it presents for itself, that it's exclusive and indispensable. So to not accept imagine God comes to Adam, right? And this is just a silly illustration. But he says, Adam, do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because in the day you eat thereof, you will die. And Adam says, oh, well, how do you know that? How is that true? He says, well, I'm God. And Adam says, how do I know you're God? You know, I mean, this is, at some point, you're going to have a terminal propositional starting point that is itself self-attesting and self-authenticating, without which you're not going to be able to have any truth claims at all. So the putative revelation of God through Jesus Christ, the propositional content, his own self-testimony, and by those his appointed messengers, the apostles, when we look at it collectively, that proposition set shows that God has revealed himself in creation. He has revealed himself through the prophets, through Jesus Christ and the apostles, revealing his character and nature of perfection, and the dismissal of that results in a realm of absurdity. So it's either we accept Christ for who he is, says he is, and that his own self-testimony speaks on his own authority. He literally claims to speak on his own authority when you read what he says in the New Testament. Okay? He didn't speak like anyone else. Right? This is what shocked people. He didn't say, well, Rabbi so-and-so says. Okay? So the point is this. If one refuses to accept the self-attesting, self-authenticating, self-identity claims of Christ for himself and the Christian worldview, you are doomed to absurdity.
Okay.
It's called a reductio ad absurdum. A reductio ad absurdum in logic and philosophy is the positive presentation of the proposition, if it is denied, results in a contradiction or an absurdity.
Could I make a statement and then a recommendation?
Of course.
First of all, I would like to say you're bringing up some really interesting concepts, but you're kind of speaking over my head. I don't understand the dialectic linguistic style you're using, or most of the words you're using are going over my head.
Okay.
My request is that in some way you record these ideas and write them down so that they can be widely, like maybe through a book or just what do they call it? Like what college students write, maybe an essay, just so that people can, learn this stuff because this is really important concepts in my mind.
It's very simple. God has revealed himself in creation and through the prophets in Christ, and it cannot be rationally denied.
Hey, 1, 2, 3. I'm live on YouTube right now, recording this whole conversation.
Okay, that's cool.
I try to get as much as much content from Darth Dawkins as possible.
Are you a member of the Intergalactic Darth Dawkins fan club?
Yikes.
I hope so.
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking Bree.
All right, I'm gonna jump off and give Bree.
I don't know what that means, but
thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. It used to be the Interstellar Darth Dawkins fan club. Now it's the Intergalactic. We've moved up a level. We've moved up a level.
okay. Fantastic.
And I only say that to cause further inflection of psychic trauma to the unbelievers.
Okay.
So, what are you?
I believe there is a necessary being. I don't subscribe to a specific religion.
Okay, so when you say there's a necessary being, what is the means by which you know that?
I believe that there are a bunch of contingent facts, right? And then I believe that in order for there to be contingent facts in the way that they function and operate, there must be a necessary being. I just don't believe
You're
that.
appealing to logic. You're not telling me by what means, by what conduit do you know that God exists?
Not necessarily even a god. It could just be a necessary being. I won't subscribe to it.
Sir, either you accept that there's an ultimate single causal first principle that is a mind, which we call God, or you do not accept that, which is
the reasoning behind it is that there's contingent fact.
That's not an answer. Look, I've been doing this for 15 years.
That's fantastic.
I've been dealing with thousands of people.
Okay.
I know exactly when people are filibustering and not answering my question.
So please tell me why a reason's not functional.
You accept and affirm that there is a creator? Okay, that is an.
I already said that there is a necessary being because there is.
Goodbye, little boy. Bye.
Look at this. He's unable to.
Yeah. When you repeatedly dodge a simple, reasonable question that I give you, and you respond with your little rhetorical flourishes that are meant to be diversionary, but pretend as though you're answering my question. When you pull that multiple times, you get the James Bond ejection seat. I know full well when people are trying to be deceptive with me, okay? And I don't impugn people for deceiving me because they disagree. But I'm well practiced enough, I know when people are trying to be deceptive. Okay, we're looking for some intelligent opposition from unbelievers. Where are they? I'm not on my own stream now. I'll be glad to relinquish mods. Looking for any of the atheist streamers out there. Come on. I'm looking for people to debate against the existence of God. You're still there, right, Adrian?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so Adrian, if we have somebody who requested, I'll be glad to have you ruthlessly mod both of us, and I'll gladly submit to whatever rules you want to impose. So I'm looking for intelligent opposition here, folks. Are there any smart atheists out there?
Let me see. There's a one request down here.
Yeah, you're not coming up, Quantum. You're a fool.
Oh, you know him. I've never seen him before.
Oh, I've dealt with him on dozens of occasions.
I believe you.
Yeah, he's a guy who claims he has a PhD advanced in physics, yet he doesn't even understand that all scientists presuppose the uniformity of nature.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So either he's ignorant, he's outright lying, okay? Every time a scientist eats a cheeseburger or a slice of pizza, he's doing so to satisfy his hunger, which is believing that the future will resemble the past. Okay, that's the uniformity of nature. Okay? Now, they might say something like physicist, I think his name is Llewellyn, who appeared on A Closer Look on PBS, where he said, well, it could be the case that physics operates differently somewhere else in the grand scheme of things. But that's not an outright rejection of the uniformity of nature. Welcome, Brig. Do you accept God as your creator?
I accept that there's a necessary being.
Okay, so it's you again. Goodbye.
Don't run, bro. You're so ass.
No, I'm not running. I'm not.
Yes,
running.
you are. You've been running from
Please
it.
do not
You've been
overtalk
running
me.
from it.
Please do not
You've
overtalk
been running from it because you can't attack that position.
Bye.
You know why you can't attack that position?
Mom and
Hold on,
Dad Mom and Dad failed to develop you into a mature young man, didn't they? Yeah. So there's no running here. When you persist in being evasive, I'm just not putting up with it. Okay? Right? So me not tolerating people being persistently evasive is not running. I'm not going to waste my time with imbeciles like you. Okay? I'm not impugning you as being an imbecile because I disagree. I'm impugning you because of your persistent evasiveness, because if you really felt that you had the intellectual capacity to stand toe-to-toe in debate, you wouldn't be so evasive. So you indict yourself. Yeah, Dr. Quantum, stop inviting up or I'm going to ask Adrian to block your account. You blew your opportunity many times before. I dealt with you on at least a dozen occasions. And you want to be circuitous, you want to be evasive, you want to be deceptive. Okay, we'll be that way. I'm not wasting my time with people like you. This is probably a troll account or this clown again.
Darth Shitkins. Let's debate. Don't run. Watch, I'm kicking 3.
Wow, he has 3 accounts? Wow. Never seen that before.
So, I'm looking for challengers here. Where are the intelligent atheists? Come on up. What are they afraid of? You see, if you become proficient as a Christian in understanding not only what the Bible says, but the implications and ramifications of what God says, then you can show that any opponent is incoherent. So all I get are the bottom of the barrel Kamala Harris supporters. I'm not getting any intelligent opposition. Okay. All right, let's see. Yeah, if you guys don't stop Quantum and BRJ, if you don't stop, I'm going to ask Adrian to block your account. Stop sending an invite or you're going to get blocked.
I have no problem blocking anybody here.
Yeah. Yeah, I only resort to blocking when people cross certain lines where they're just blatantly, being slanderous, defamatory, or they keep on routinely sending an invite when they're told you're not welcome. Look, I go onto some atheist streams and they kick me off right away because they know they're getting destroyed. I don't keep on sending invite requests when they kick me off. But then again, I'm a mature adult. So look at that. No intelligent opposition. I scared them all away. Adrian, don't forget that little line of reasoning that I've come across. Can God be known if God decides not to reveal himself? I mean, you can phrase it in a couple of different ways. The moment they acknowledge that they claim they're in a non-revelatory environment, then they can't say anything about God, including his non-existence.
It's right. And to assert his non-existence is to self-defeat.
So they can't sit there and try to appeal to logic or mental gymnastics, right? Because in a world where God doesn't reveal himself, which is a non-revelatory environment, then nothing can be known about the nature of God. Therefore, whatever is invoked about God in a non-revelatory environment is indifferentiable or indistinguishable from a figment of their imagination. Right? So this is a devastating thing. This is why, for example, when the Bible says the fool has said in his heart there is no God. Well, why is the Bible indicting unbelievers as being fools? Because the Bible makes it very clear that God has revealed himself, right? And because God has revealed himself, we then can speak about God to the extent that he has revealed himself. But were that not to be true, and we're doing a reductio ad absurdum, right? If God does not reveal himself, then you can't say whether his favorite ice cream was strawberry or vanilla. Okay? You cannot say what would or not entail God's plan. And if you cannot, and if it is a performative contradiction, if you cannot say anything about God, including that he doesn't exist, when you don't accept that God is and that he's revealed himself, then you are going to be in a position where you're directly or indirectly denying God's existence, but that cannot be rationally sustained in a non-revelatory environment.
Yeah, it is. It is exactly a performative contradiction, and I didn't learn that until today, and I won't forget it. I will not forget it. Definitely not.
Yeah, they might try, sophistry, saying, well, a perfect God would create a world and want to make himself known. Then he says, but I do not know God, therefore a perfect God doesn't exist. Well, the point is this: when you say you don't know God, that's not something that you can sustain. You're going to have to sustain how the world is not emblematic and indicative of God. How would you sustain that? This can't be a dog chasing your tail and just repeat the same thing but in different words. Then what is the world ultimately emblematic of? What are you going to just say? Itself? How stupid would that be? So we can actually, see, what I'm doing is what I learned from Van Til is look at try to come up with a philosophical representation of what God reveals. So Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. So God is the single causal first principle, who, by according to the power of his will, Hebrews 1, Colossians 1, he actualizes all of the unity and diversity that's in the world according to his plan. So there's an overall concrete unity to all the particulars within, let's say, the cosmos or the heavens and the earth that God has revealed. If one rejects that, then there is no identifiable overall unity. It would only be merely abstract in your mind. So how would you connect all the dots? Why would one dot be correlative or connective in some way or meaningful to another dot within the cosmos? Why? Because you think it does? So we've scared away the intelligent atheists. They're literally afraid. Okay? This is why the usual atheist streamers don't want me coming up on their stream. I went on Jeff for Truth streams, and he kicked me off 2 or 3 times because he's literally afraid to have a prolonged conversation. They have no idea how incompetent their rationale is.
No idea.
They don't. Okay, would you block Dr. Quantum, please?
Of course.
He will not stop coming up. I'm more than willing to give people chances, but I've given him so many chances, and he does the same obtuse reasoning over and over and over again. And he really leads me to believe that he's lying about having a PhD, because he's denying something that all scientists, accept. That there is a basic uniformity of nature. Because if there wasn't, there would be no point to induction or observation. Why would observation, repeating, and testability and theorizing if there's no imposed regularity among some irregularity? Why propose a theory when there are not certain things that are regular amongst irregularity? What would you be theorizing about? The answer is nothing. When they theorize about the world, they're theorizing as to what's regular versus what's not regular.
They still haven't solved the problem of induction.
Yeah, if you go to the book on logic, I think it's named by Lodi. I think if that's his name, Lodi. He talks about we can do induction as long as we're correct about the regularity of nature. Okay? That induction in terms of probabilistic reasoning will have merit only if there's an a priori commitment to the uniformity of nature.
I'm going to definitely look into that. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So in induction, we start from the specific and then we reason to the general. So if we consistently see pigs flying, okay, we can assume therefore, without viewing any defeaters for it, that pigs will be able to fly under the same conditions where we don't observe. So, did you know that we have observational support that some pigs can fly?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was once on JetBlue and I saw Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, oh man, she's living in what was it again? I think it's Australia.
No, she's in Ireland. I hope she kisses.
Oh, it's
the
Ireland.
and falls in.
It's Ireland.
Bye, Rosie.
Oh boy, I saw a reaction video on YouTube.
She's a train wreck. Hey Rosie, you might try a little bit of lipstick to improve your look on camera. But there is that old adage: you can put a lipstick on a pig, but
Yeah. Donald Trump said she looks like a truck driver.
well, she brings this contempt upon herself. And by the way, I'm criticizing not her looks, I'm criticizing her character. So I'm looking for some intelligent atheist opposition. You guys are so bold on TikTok. Where are you? Come on up. If you want to be able to speak uninterrupted, I'll be glad to grant that, and I'll have Adrian ruthlessly moderate the both of us, but you will answer my questions. Look, we got 36 people in here. Not one courageous, intelligent atheist. Not one.
Because they know their positions are indefensible.
Yeah. It's scary. See, this is the brilliance of what Van Til. See, Van Til, being an expert in philosophy and having a really good understanding of metaphysics, was able to glean out and draw out the metaphysical and philosophical ramifications from what God has revealed, and he wielded it as a devastating weapon against unbelief. Anselm's ontological argument is very, very interesting, and it's not easy to understand upon a quick overview, but it's very interesting. But all such classical and evidential arguments are flawed, and they have to be rescued. Not that they're entirely wrong, but they have to be rescued and be presented revelationally. Okay? So, for example, you'll notice that some people may conclude that I'm using a design argument, but I'm not using a design argument as an inference to the best explanation. I'm saying that it is the only rational explanation, and that the non-acceptance of it results in instantaneous irrationality. Then your thinking couldn't be claimed to be rational in an atmosphere where it's not the product of design.
Shut your bitch ass up, nigga.
Hey, I'm sorry you didn't know your dad.
Sorry you didn't know your dad. Yeah, that's unfortunate growing up without a dad.
His parents forgot to civilize him.
Well, like I said, we have to be, feel sorry for him because he grew up fatherless.
It's terrible.
Now, there are some young men who grew up decent, without dads in the home, but that's uncommon. So I'm waiting for some intelligent opponents here. I'm laying out a positive case for God's existence. I'm not doing God of the gaps. You reject my positive case, you're making a counterclaim, which you'll have to explain. Oh, that's right, you can't. You can't explain it. Yeah, you do have a father. Yeah, well, we're not talking about a seed donor. Do you know what we're in right now? It's called the Green Acres Paradox. Did you hear that?
Green Acres Paradox. No.
The Green Acres Paradox. You remember the TV show Green Acres? Green Acres is the place for me.
Okay. I heard the commercial.
Yeah, the Green Acres Paradox is that when you intelligently and effectively defend the Christian worldview, all of the skeptics turn into chickens on Green Acres.
Yeah, because we got 35 people on here and nobody is brave enough to come up.
It's the Green Acres Paradox. They all are very vocal like chickens in the hen house, but when, the fox comes in, they all scatter.
Hey, P. Mars.
Yeah, P. Mars is getting better and better by the day. I'd be a little bit more talkative right now, but I didn't sleep well last night, so I'm a little bit tired. But I'm still willing, even though I'm tired, to take on you intelligent atheists. Where are you?
Yes, they're scared to come up.
Mr. Pepe, that's a lie. I do not kick people because I don't get my way. I remove people when they decide to plummet into lying, dodging, and evading, and they're unrepentant about it. So stop lying about me.
Hey, Darth, I'm going to go buy some food, and I'm not going to drive and be on here, so we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Love you. We'll talk soon.
Remember that great question. Can God be known if he chooses not to reveal himself?
Definitely. And I learned something today.
Day, bud.
Thank you, bud. Okay, I gotta get off of here now. Gotta go. All right, guys, it was a good one. See you guys again eventually.